Fanatics also reported a 100% increase in sales for WNBA specific merchandise. It started with Caitlin Clark. And so now that we know all of this, and we've known that for months, now we get to turn around and look and see what exactly is it that the league will do knowing that she's out for the next 2 weeks. I'm not saying I know for sure what's going to happen, but I have an idea.
Just when it seemed like the WNBA was finally figuring things out, just when it looked like they were ready to ride the golden wave that is Caitlin Clark straight into the promised land of mainstream relevance and financial success, they let this happen. And by this, we mean the injury that has every basketball fan, every sports analyst, and yes, even Stephen A. Smith absolutely losing their minds.
Unfortunately, though, the celebration in the WNBA, it was cut short yesterday afternoon as WNBA players learned the harsh lesson, be careful what you wish for. Headline at the New York Post. Caitlin Clark sidelined with Indiana Felines announcing shock injury. Keyword, shock. This injury was shocking, but not for reasons that you may think.
Caitlin Clark, the woman who single-handedly turned women's basketball from a niche sport your basketball-obsessed cousin watches into appointment television, is now sitting on the sidelines. The diagnosis, a left quad strain. She'll be out for at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks of the WNBA trying to pretend that losing their biggest star, their golden goose, their literal ratings magnet, won't send viewership numbers tumbling faster than a house of cards in a hurricane.
Everybody was moving Caitlin Clark games to bigger facilities because everyone was selling tickets. There were ratings. It was a ratings bonanza. Now with Caitlin Clark not playing, what do? Well, when you change your situs, guess what? You can't change it back.
Yep.
All
the tickets are literally half the price, and there are entire sections of the stadium that have not sold any tickets.
And who's the first person to absolutely explode about this? Who's the first one to call out the insanity of the situation? None other than Stephen A. Smith, the man who's been defending Caitlin Clark since day one, while half the WNBA establishment acted like she was some kind of basketball tourist who wandered into their league by accident.
Thanks to Clark, Indiana led the league in attendance both at home and on the road. The Fever averaged 17,035 fans at home and over 15,000 on the road. 4 teams moved home games to bigger arenas when Indiana came to town to accommodate more fans. That's about Caitlin Clark. How do we know this? Attendance for the entire league was up nearly 50% last year. According to data from across the timeline, and Indiana led all teams with an average attendance of 17,035. That was up 319% from the year earlier.
Stephen didn't just offer commentary on this injury. He went absolutely nuclear. And honestly, it's about time someone did. While everyone else is busy tiptoeing around the obvious, trying to stay politically correct, and pretending Caitlin Clark isn't carrying the league on her back, Stephen is out here spitting facts that would make a mathematician weep. We'll find out. We don't know yet, Stephen said when asked about the impact of her injury on the WNBA. But I'm really interested in seeing what kind of effect this has on ratings. If there is a precipitous drop, then everybody needs to stand down.
We'll find out. We don't know yet, but I'm going to be really interested in seeing, Molly, what kind of effect this has on the WNBA's ratings, because if for some reason there is a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down and recognize the fact that the speculation or the assertions and assumptions about her being the golden goose is validated.
Oh, Stephen, you beautiful, logical genius. Because that is exactly what's going to happen. The man might as well be sitting there with a stopwatch, ready to time the exact moment the WNBA realizes it's been taking its most valuable asset for granted. It's like watching someone ignore a pot of gold while complaining about being broke, and Stephen is the guy screaming, "The gold is right there." Let's talk numbers. Games featuring Caitlin Clark this season have averaged 1.178 million viewers. Games without her? Just 394,000. That's a 199% gap, a difference you could drive a freight train through. Her games attract 3 times the viewers. 3 times.
Became the first rookie with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in a playoff game. That was Caitlin Clark. Became the 4th different rookie to play all 40 minutes in a playoff game. That was her. I'm looking at other things. 6 different league television partners. This is last year. This is last season. Because this is Caitlin Clark that we're talking about. 6 different league television partners set viewership records that year, her rookie year, for its highest viewed WNBA game. Do you know every one of those games included the Indiana Fever?
But here's where it really gets spicy. Stephen A. Smith isn't just upset about this injury, he's been building up to this moment for months. He's watched the WNBA fumble the bag repeatedly when it comes to Clark. He's seen legends like Cheryl Swoops act like Clark was some kind of outsider instead of the savior the league desperately needed. He's watched Commissioner Kathy Engelbert give lukewarm responses when ticker tape parades would have been more appropriate. And now that Clark is injured, Stephen is basically saying, "I told you so," in the loudest, most dramatic way possible.
Rising tide lifts all boats. And if this is the magnetic traction that draws viewers to the WNBA, and her absence over the next 2 weeks due to that quad strain is providing further evidence of that, then everybody needs to accept it, stand down, and ride that wave. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how the ratings are going to look without her over the next 2 weeks. Let's make sure we come back and ask me this exact same question after she's been gone for those 2 weeks.
Yeah. Let's rewind a bit and talk about how we got here. When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, she was an economic stimulus package in sneakers. The season opener between Clark's Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky drew 2.7 million viewers on ABC, the most watched WNBA game on ESPN platforms ever. That number isn't just impressive, it's miraculous for a league that struggled for relevance for 2 decades. But instead of embracing the moment, the WNBA offered up lukewarm press releases and bland social media posts. They almost seemed embarrassed by their own success. Stephen saw this in real time and began slowly boiling with frustration.
We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here. And y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now, the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
Stephen has been defending Clark against critics more interested in ego than evolution. When former players threw shade and acted resentful instead of grateful, Stephen was there to call it out. They act like there isn't or hasn't been legitimate resentment, he said, referencing Clark's vocal critics. But nobody's fooled. Now we're about to watch Stephen's predictions play out. Clark isn't missing random games, she's out for marquee matchups, like the rematch against Angel Reese and the Sky. Nationally televised games that networks were counting on? Gone. The financial impact is massive. Clark isn't just a player, she's the league's top scorer, assist leader, ticket seller, and merchandise driver. Without her, the Fever becomes just another team.
Look, I think Stephen A is 100% correct on this. At the end of the day, you already see people actually saying, hey, I'm not watching for 2 weeks. I'm not tuning in for 2 weeks. And it's really bad news for the Mystics and the Sky because both of those teams moved those games to big arenas. So it's like now that she's not playing, what is that attendance going to look like? The viewership, right? The viewership is going to plummet. I already know. Because majority of the people that's watching the Indiana Fever wants to see Caitlin Clark. And sad to say it, a lot of them only want to see Caitlin Clark. They don't really care about the entire team.
But here's where Stephen's frustration boils over. This was all preventable. Not the injury itself, injuries happen, but the league's total failure to protect and prioritize its biggest star? That's on them. Throughout her rookie season and beyond, Clark has been taking hits that look more like NFL plays than basketball fouls. Flagrant fouls, reckless targeting, and the WNBA? They acted like it was business as usual. Steven, like many fans, has been screaming at his TV. This is a player transforming the league's financial future. Instead of bubble wrapping her, they let her be treated like a tackling dummy. That's corporate malpractice. Even in defeat, Clark pulled numbers 2.22 million viewers for a recent loss to the Liberty. That's the second most watched WNBA game on CBS ever.
The Fever and the Liberty, peaking at 3.2 million viewers. 3.2. And again, second most viewed game on CBS ever. I have no idea what the most viewed game was ever.
Now imagine those same time slots without Clark. Imagine explaining to TV execs why ratings just dropped by 200%. Imagine convincing sponsors the WNBA is still worth investing in when the league's biggest draw is sitting on the bench. Steven doesn't need to imagine it, he's about to watch it unfold. And he'll document every painful drop in viewership like a man vindicated. The infuriating part? It could have been avoided. If the WNBA had treated Clark like the generational star she has, protected her, promoted her, acknowledged her importance, they wouldn't be in this position. The Clark effect is real. She brought in fans who had never watched before. Now that she's out, those fans will tune out just as quickly. And getting them back? Nearly impossible.
You literally cannot make this up. When she's not playing, ticket prices, merchandise sales plummet. Viewership declines when she is not suited up in uniform. The numbers do not lie, guys. Caitlin Clark is the biggest box office attraction in the WNBA. Period. Facts over feeling.
Steven sees the big picture, something the WNBA leadership clearly doesn't. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's a phenomenon. She's the bridge between the league's troubled past and a potentially thriving future. But with her injured, that bridge is under repair, and the league is stuck on the wrong side of relevance. What makes this truly maddening is how predictable it all was. When someone draws NBA-level ratings, you protect that investment. You don't let opponents knock her around like a piñata and pretend it's just part of the game. But that's what the WNBA did. Now Steven gets to say the most thunderous "I told you so" in sports media history, because when ratings crash back to pre-Clark levels, he'll be the first one saying it didn't have to be this way.
I mean, with Caitlin Clark being out of the picture, you know what's already happened in the WNBA? Yeah, that's right. Those ticket prices went way down. And you would think most of the ladies in the league would want to wish Caitlin a very speedy and successful recovery, because without her in that league, it's going back to where it was before she even got drafted to the Indiana team.
And honestly, can you blame the fans if you're a casual viewer who started watching because Caitlin Clark made the WNBA exciting? Why stick around when she's not playing? It's like going back to black and white TV after seeing color for the first time. Steven sees it happening. You can practically hear him warming up for the biggest victory lap of his career. Because this isn't just about one injured player. It's about a league that had lightning in a bottle and let it slip through their fingers. The next few weeks will be a referendum on everything Steven has been saying. And when the numbers come in, they'll prove him more right than anyone probably wanted him to be. The WNBA had their savior, and they took her for granted. Now they get to see what life without Caitlin Clark really looks like.